reviewer, and 3 from me. But they're all on the small screen, and they're all on Freeview. Good morning, Van, and how the devil are you, sir?
Good morning to you as well, Mr. Ross, and it's a pleasure as always.
And you are starting with, well, it's a great film. It's got something for everybody. It's got fight scenes, it's got love scenes, it's got kissing, it's got military action, and it is on 5 Select tonight, 10:05, An Officer and a Gentleman, you old softy.
Well, you know, I can't resist a good Richard Gere movie, and especially not one that wins an Oscar for Lou Gossett Jr. and stars David Keith. I mean, how do you top that?
And also, it's a fantastically kind of liberating film in some ways, because when I saw it the first time, I'd seen all the hype. Richard Gere was a big swoony pin-up. I hadn't prepared myself, I wasn't prepared for quite how dark it gets at times.
Very much so. I think people tend to seem to think of it in hindsight as a sort of kind of weepy, almost romantic, for the girls kind of movie, but actually it's quite a raw, brutal, masculine, dark drama in a strange way. Obviously, we know it's sort of coming up through the ranks, you know, a sort of a plucky recruit who butts heads with his drill sergeant kind of a tale, and it's all about the nature of manipulative towny women seeking these the lives with these naval officers, and it's definitely iconic, I would say, especially the ending of it.
Brilliant stuff, and you've got a clip for us, no doubt.
I do indeed, and this is, of course, that brilliant moment that has been quoted in so many other movies, but for my money, most notably in Wayne's World 2, and we'll let Richard Gere do it for us here.
I want your D-O-R.
I ain't gonna quit.
Spell it. D-O-R.
I ain't gonna quit.
Yeah, then you can be free, and you and your daddy can get drunk and go hog chasing together, huh?
No, sir.
D-O-R.
I ain't gonna quit.
All right, then you can forget it. You're out.
Don't you do it. Don't you. I got nowhere else to go. I got nowhere else to go.
I mean, it is a great performance. I think Richard Gere is often underrated as an actor, you know, because it's a very intense performance from him.
Oh, very much the case. And to be honest, I do miss Richard Gere as a movie star. Like, I was a teenager when he was got into movies like Red Corner, I think it was, which was a really brilliant China set thriller. I remember that one quite prominently, and his remake of Day of the Jackal as well with Sidney Poitier. A genuinely underrated performer, as you say. I would like to see him back. He's been doing quite niche, more independent dramatic thrillers in recent years, but he's still just as good as ever.
And he's great in Chicago. I know he started in musical theatre because he played Danny Zuko on the West End stage before the movie. I mean, there's a weird thought, isn't it? In another universe, Richard Gere plays Danny in Greece. Anyway, I'm going to go to my first recommendation now. This is a proper no-brain, thick-ear comedy, but if you need some light relief today, and we all might do, 10 minutes to 7, Film 4 tonight, and you can watch it an hour later, Film 4 plus 1. What a cast. You have got Robert De Niro, Michael Douglas, Morgan Freeman and Kevin Kline. It's Las Vegas. Basically, as you know, Van, Michael Douglas's character is a bit of a kind of slippery slime ball.
Cad, I think.
He's a bound-up, and he's getting married again to a much younger woman this time, probably again, and he gets his 3 old buddies from the neighbourhood together to go to Las Vegas. There's buried history and kind of recrimination between him and Robert De Niro. Kevin Kline is brilliant in this. Morgan Freeman, as ever, excellent. It's a brilliant kind of, if you like this kind of, I think they call them sunset comedies now in the States. You'll love Las Vegas. Some real funny moments in it. Let's have the trailer.
Hello? Hey, it's Billy.
Billy!
How you doing? What's going on? I got something important here, all right? I'm getting married.
What?
Wow.
To that young lady who's half your age?
Hey, wait a minute. She's almost 32.
I have a hemorrhoid that's almost 32.
So we're going to have a bachelor party in Vegas.
I can't smoke, drink, eat salt, or stay out past 9, but...
All right, I love it.
I love this film, though, I must say. It's a guilty pleasure. It must have made you laugh, this one, man.
I'm quite a fan of, you know, as we say, the sunset comedy genre that's really come about. I think that's pretty much a product of this century, the sunset comedy. And it's brought us things like Something's Gotta Give, you know, and then sort of the more recently, actually, The Book Club, which I thought was a tremendous good time. But Las Vegas is a film. I mean, for one thing, early on, I remember when this was in development, Jack Nicholson was going to be one of the 4. I seem to remember. I'm not sure which one he would have been.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, he might have even been the Michael Douglas character, mightn't he? The kind of Lothario.
Quite possibly, yeah. But the other thing as well for me is this is directed by John Turteltaub, who I'm fascinated by because his body of work is so mystifyingly random.
Yeah.
And it includes things like the National Treasure movies and The Meg.
Yeah.
So where this fits into his mindset, I honestly couldn't tell you, but honestly.
You kind of know those four guys had a great time together making this. There's no two ways about it. You know, they can't force the kind of camaraderie and chemistry you see on screen between them.
Absolutely not. I mean, I'll be really honest, when you look at this cast, the one thing that shocked me more than anything is that Kevin Kline is actually of a comparable age to the rest of them, because I honestly wouldn't have considered that.
So I suppose he came, because he leapt to prominence, I suppose, later, didn't he, than the other guys made it through. But that's my recommendation for tonight, 10 to 7 on Film 4, Las Vegas. Let's go to tomorrow now, and you've got Three Identical Strangers. I must admit, I don't think I've even heard of this film. It's more 4 tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Tell us a bit about it, Ben.
So this is a first for us, Paul. This is a first for you and I, because I don't think I have ever pitched a documentary before for one of our movie picks. And that's what this is. And this is an absolutely fascinating documentary. So I don't know if you remember this story. So it was, I believe it was in the late 70s or early 80s. It basically followed three identical strangers, all born in 1961. It begins with one of them going to college for his freshman year. He turns up on the first day, and everyone seems to mysteriously recognise him, and they're mistaking him for somebody else.
Right.
And he very quickly discovers that in the semester before he joined, there was a dropout who happened to be his exact doppelganger. It then turns out to be his identical twin, who he was separated from in the cradle, and they were put up for adoption, never told that the other existed. They become national media sensations, and then one day they discover there's a third one as well.
What, were they cloned?
And they were actually triplets, separated at birth and adopted into separate families, never told of the others. And even more strangely, the service that facilitated the adoption would send doctors and psychologists to visit the families every now and again, every few years, to run psychological experiments on them that were never explained. I've got a clip for you.
Fascinating stuff. Have a listen.
They're trying to conceal what they did from the people they did it to.
When you play with humans, you do something very wrong.
Who would be evil enough to come up with something like this?
There's a lot of powerful people that would like to have this story silenced.
There's still so much that we don't know.
It boggles the mind.
It's a mystery. I'd like to know the truth.
I mean, that really does boggle the mind because, and I know I'm not comparing like with like, but we ought to remember that this week, above all weeks, Holocaust Memorial Day, was Joseph Mengele famously and atrociously experimented on twins in Auschwitz, and there's that fascination with twins and whether behaviours learn. But I mean, these days people do their utmost to keep twins, and I mean triplets are very rare anyway, but to keep twins together in adoption, not to separate them but then monitor them for some horrible pseudo-scientific purpose. This sounds fascinating.
It really is. The story takes numerous twists and turns. You can tell from sort of the ominous tone of that clip. For one thing, they discovered that they are not the only set of kids that this happened to. There were other sets of twins and triplets. There were different genders, different races. And this story, what actually went on, has still to this day never been fully explained. The film does get into it in a way that I had never considered before, but it's a fascinating watch. It's more riveting than most Hollywood thrillers. It's absolutely worth seeing.
It's one of those things, if you pitched it as a movie, people would think it was too far-fetched to be believable on the big screen, but actually this happened in real life.
Absolutely, and do you know what? I'll tell you what, I would absolutely watch a narrative adaptation of this story.
Okay, so we've got that 9 o'clock tomorrow night, more 4. 9 o'clock on Channel 4, lots of 4 action for us this weekend. I love this film. I think it slipped under the radar a bit. Very kind of quality crafted, you might even say old-fashioned film, but nothing wrong with that. It takes Kevin Costner back again, once again to the 1960s. He plays somebody working at NASA. It's called Hidden Figures, and it's about the genius, but also the problems faced by black women mathematicians, black women, great kind of mathematical sciences, asked to help with the space program, but really not valued, honoured, or even treated equally. It's called Hidden Figures. It's tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Great film. Here's the trailer.
Equilateral, trapezoid, isosceles, tetrahedron.
I've never seen a mind like the one your daughter has. You have to see what she becomes.
Come on! Hey! Move like that.
Catherine, We all gonna end up unemployed riding around in this pile of junk.
You're welcome to walk the 16 miles. Or sit in the back of the bus.
Kiss me up.
You have identification on them?
We're just on our way to work at NASA, sir.
I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
You know what we're doing here? We're putting a human on top of a missile, shooting him into space, and it's never been done before.
I do like Kevin Costner as a filmmaker, as an actor, and he really seems to suit the early 1960s. He looks good in those crisp white shirts and a tie, and with the horn-rimmed glasses. Did you enjoy this one yourself, Em?
I had a ball with this when I saw it. I think because this came out in 2016. This was a couple of years after The Help had come out and had done a very similar thing of doing a sort of a jaunty 60s tale that took on civil rights. And also, interestingly enough, starred Octavia Spencer in that case. I thought, again, like you say, Kevin Costner looked the part in the 60s with a sort of, crisp white shirt and everything. There's a whole cast, a whole supporting cast who have that look here. Noticeably Mahershala Ali, Jim Parsons and Glenn Powell, but it is all about the three African-American actresses at the forefront of it. I think Taraji P. Henson, I think for me, this is that big breakout moment for her. Janelle Monáe was already a thing, but I think this, again, solidified her as an entertaining screen presence. And, of course, Octavia Spencer, who's just brilliant in everything.
Yeah, great film. So that's tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, Channel 4. Let's go now to Sunday. And I saw this when it came out, and I thought it was one of the most bonkers films I've ever seen. Matthew McConaughey, it's Reign of Fire. It's Christian Bale in this as well, I can't remember.
Not only is Christian Bale in this, but you know who you're forgetting is actually in this as well?
Go on.
None other than Gerard Butler in this movie.
So it's Reign, it's Reign as in R-E-I-G-N of Fire. It's Sony Movies, 7:05 Sunday night. Tell us the bizarre setup to this.
So the bizarre setup to this is basically during the construction of a new part of the tube in London. So let's just hypothetically call it Crossrail.
Yep.
The construction engineers accidentally wake up dragons, who it turns out were the actual force that wiped out the dinosaurs once upon a time and have been laying dormant ever since. Flash forward a couple of decades until the Earth has been near wiped out. Christian Bale and Gerard Butler are the two men who run a colony in Northumberland.
Yep.
And into which arrives a US military force led by a then very wacky Matthew McConaughey, because he definitely wasn't the Oscar winner back then. He's playing full Woody Harrelson here, and he arrives with the bold claim that he can kill dragons, that there is one dragon king, one male dragon who fertilizes all the rest of the species, and that's how they propagate, and if they take him out, they can save the world. And I've got a clip for you of him making something like this bold claim.
Here we go.
It was in the wheat fields just south of Coffeyville, Kansas. It was late November. It's a month of mist. We were caught in the open. The sun was setting behind us. There was nowhere to run. Twice it came in on us, and twice it missed the heart of us. And that's when I had an epiphany. You see, they have great vision in the day. They have even better vision at night. But in the failing light, they can't focus. Magic hour.
Nobody could deliver that line anyway, but in the failing light, they can't focus. They never speak normally in these kind of films, do they? But it is bonkers fun, this one. The special effects, I think do they look a bit dated now, the special effects, or not, do you think?
Actually, funnily enough, because I rewatched this ahead of us having this conversation.
Really?
I didn't want to pitch it. I didn't want to pitch it and be like, actually, no, that was rubbish. The interesting thing about this actually is the dragon effects in it are directly comparable to Game of Thrones, as in they have more or less the same movement, the same animation, and even the same quality at times. There are some ropey shots in it, but for the most part, they do quite work. The funny story I have about this film is that at one point they had to shift production due to the outbreak of foot and mouth disease.
Oh God, I remember all that time. Yeah, when public areas and land was cordoned off. And then to film it in all these big Hollywood stars, and they're filming it in the UK, based around a dragon sleeping under a tube line, and then head to Northumberland. I bet the cast got this sign up for a lovely Hollywood. Why can't they have gone to Nevada or somewhere sunny?
Well, exactly. But the whole thing with this, this is a perfectly, if you look at the film now, it's interesting that the performances offered up by particularly Christian Bale, but to a lesser extent, Gerard Butler and Matthew McConaughey, are actually pretty good. What lets the film down, because it's dumb fun, but you do look at it and think, if this were marginally better directed and the script was marginally better, you actually would have something tremendous here. As it is, it's a sort of a so bad it's good kind of a film. But you do think the material's there.
It's got that guilty pleasure feel, you're right, but mine is an absolute classic. It spawned another even better Western. Got to have one Western recommendation for the weekend. It's 7:15 Sunday night. It's on the Paramount channel, again a Freeview channel. It dates back to 1952. It was produced by Stanley Kramer, then a very hot name in Hollywood. Written by Carl Foreman, directed by Fred Zinnemann. It won an Oscar for Gary Cooper. Grace Kelly's in it as well. Lloyd Bridges, Lon Chaney Jr., shot in black and white. It runs in real time, which is unusual for a film. I bet you love High Noon, don't you, Van? It's a quality classic bit of cinema.
Of course I do. But for no other reason than it gave me one of my favourite sci-fi movies, but we'll get to that.
Okay, now the other great setup for this, folks, is Gary Cooper's a US Marshal, soon to retire because he's marrying the gorgeous Grace Kelly, who's a Quaker, believes in non-violence, and he gets the message that some psychopathic killer has been released from prison, is coming back to the town where Gary Cooper's in charge. He'll arrive back at high noon, and Gary Cooper tries to get some help and doesn't do that well with the townspeople. They just want him gone. They don't want trouble on their streets. They don't want to risk their lives to uphold the American way. Let's have the trailer.
A terror-stricken town left him to face 4 killers, single-handed, at high noon. With every swing of the pendulum, with every second, a man's life ticked away. Never have so few moments held such excitement. Miller!
That's it. That's it for me. That'll be Sunday night for me. It's Paramount. It's 7:50. And tell us about the sci-fi connection then, because it obviously spawned Rio Bravo. Howard Hawks and John Wayne hated the film, so they made a kind of answer movie, which is also brilliant. But what's the sci-fi connection?
Well, the sci-fi connection is a 1981 Sean Connery movie that I love very dearly.
Oh, Outland.
Outland.
Of course, Outland.
Outland.
Set on the kind of the mining facility in space.
It is, and it's literally the same exact movie, but Sean Connery is the cop in space this time. And, of course, the other thing as well with this movie is, if memory serves, they did make a sequel to this, but it wasn't a theatrical sequel. I think it was a sequel made for TV, and it starred, I forget who played the Grace Kelly role, but I remember Lee Majors would play the Gary Cooper one, and even more bizarrely than that, the script for it was written by none other than Elmore Leonard.
That's why we love having you on the show, the great Van Connor there, the main man. Remind people how they can get you and Rebecca Perfect's views on the movies, and are you back in animated for me as well, Van?
Well, as soon as Oscar season starts to die down a little, and we have fewer heavy-handed dramas, the animated head will be back and reviewing on Me Movies on YouTube. But for now, you can find me on Friday mornings with Rebecca Perfect on podcast platforms with Offscreen, the 7-day ultimate movie guide every week.
And we'll catch up with Van next Friday, and hopefully he'll drop in on us on Monday morning as the Oscars are happening live in the USA, of course, and we're live on